Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We from group 4. This is our list of teammate Idlan Aidit, Muhammad Aiman and Muhammad Izzat. Today we will explain and present about operation management in service for Hard Rock Cafe.
The first Hard Rock Cafe was based at Orlando and it the first restaurant in London in 1971, making it over 45 years old and the granddaddies of team restaurant. Some restaurants have come and gone, but Hard Rock still going strong with 150 restaurants in more than 53 countries. It also have 13 hotels, casino and live music venues. In 1988, Hard Rock Cafe was expanded to more than 40 locations throughout US. It also serving 100,000 meals each day. Hard Rock Cafe chefs are modifying the menu from classic American to include higher-end items such as stuffed veal chops and lobster tails. In this case study, there are three problems that I obtained from my observation. First, the number of late or unfulfilled order versus the total number of order per day. Second, the number of order that the staff serve within company standard allotted time. And lastly, the number of order that the kitchen staff need to fulfill within company standard allotted time. All these problems are related in the chapter 4 and 7 of MEM 575. Chapter 4 is about the layout of the company. The good layout will decrease the serve time. Chapter 7 is about production planning. The excellent production planning will reduce the late or unfulfilled order. There are the work process for operation management in services. First is customer contact. Design of a service system must consider the degree of customer contact. There are two types contact of services, which is low and high. High contact process have the customer in the system while providing the service, while low contact services are performed away from the customer. In this case, the high contact services are more preferred. Next is production line. The service of production line process must be efficient, so it will be fast to do the orders. Next, service processes. The operation manager must know what service that's suitable for the company. There are two types of service: self-service and service blueprint. Self-service is in wide use. Fast food is famous with self-service because customers order their own food and pay immediately, so it can reduce costs and even provide better service. Service blueprint is a way to describe the flow of a customer through a service operation from the start to the finish. A blueprint flowchart shows every step in the process and can be used to illustrate the process and improve it. Quality management. Using the customer experience. The questionnaire called ServQual has been developed. The dimensions of ServQual are designed to measure the customer experience in both explicit and implicit measures. The dimensions are tangible, reliability, responsiveness, assurance, and empathy. From this questionnaire, the company will know what they must change to provide high-quality service. Next, capacity and scheduling. The operation manager need to do forecasting demand to predict customer behavior. The location of the services need to be near the customer. In services, it is customers who are being scheduled. As a result, waiting time becomes much more critical. So, the operation manager need to do operation research to optimize the schedule. Lastly, service supply chain. Supply chains for service operation are critical to supply facilitating goods. Operation manager must know where to get the goods and must deal with the lowest price. Thank you.
The first discussion question is 9 operation management strategy decision in Hard Rock Cafe. The first one is service and product design. Hard Rock Cafe brand name is maintained by the service and the way they design the product to attract the customers. The planning department evaluates the nearby market and modify the items accordingly. Number 2 is quality management. Regular surveys are taken to know the feedback of service and quality of the food. By this, they can track where they are lagging and improve accordingly. Number 3 is location. Hard Rock Cafe chooses about the territory of its association in perspective of market examination at nearby level by its representative. They mainly avoid political hazard and cash risk. The area is focused to produce a benefit and they look for extension which might be required later. Number 4 is layout design. Hard Rock Cafe have plans that contrast from the format, outlines of the gambling clubs and local cuisine hotels. The organization chooses by surveying clients and the idea of business activities. Number 5 is human resources and job design. The employees have an awesome energy to music and have great work abilities. This makes simple for workers to carry out their business and generate a greater profit to the organization. Number 6 is supply chain management. The organization keeps on changing the interior of the location. They just roll out the inventory from one location to another so that the next time you visit you have a completely new view. Number 7 is inventory management. The organization applies stock administration choices through stock administration programming. The stock is then balanced as needs be. The primary goal is to guarantee that the stock levels are satisfactory to boost the incomes of the business. Number 8 is scheduling. Hard Rock Cafe schedule planning by surveying current operational effectiveness. For example, the administration faculty takes survey associated with the business to decide operational bottlenecks connected to planning. And lastly, number 9 is maintenance. The organization has specialists for instruments maintenance depending upon wear and tear to get repair or substitution. The instruments which are on display required less maintenance, but it required periodic check so that they don't get scrapped as time passes. Next discussion question is the productivity at Hard Rock Cafe. To determine the productivity at Hard Rock Cafe, they use the formula of productivity equals to output unit over input unit. In kitchen staff productivity, the ratio of quantity of requests satisfied by the kitchen staff to the quantity of things requested by customer. And for the wait staff productivity, it is the ratio of quantity of requests that the wait staff serves to the quantity of things requested by customer. Next discussion question is difference between operation management of Hard Rock Cafe and Ford Motors. The first one is service and product design. For Hard Rock Cafe, new food items are made by the chef and the atmosphere is loaded with the music. And for Ford, the car is designed, analyzed and tested by the engineers. The product design varies from one country to another country depending upon weather, rules and regulations. Second is quality management. For Hard Rock Cafe, quality of food is measured on a scale, and for Ford, the vehicle here is tested by test drivers and robots, which gives feedback to research and development for any modification needed. The third one is process and capacity design. For Hard Rock Cafe, the way toward managing the visitors, which are of 1,000 per day, set up the fantastic dinner. For Ford Motors, utilizes sophisticated mechanical process, involves action of laborers and machines carrying out the operations need to build the vehicle one after another. Next one is location. For Hard Rock Cafe, the goals is to target the tourists, and for Ford Motors, look for areas that have low settled and variable expenses and think about different components, for example, closeness to providers, political dangers and trade rates. Number 5 is layout design. The kitchen design is basic to proficient food planning and streams. The bar format is basic for productivity. And for Ford Motor, the Ford Motor plan will be built keeping in mind assembly line and sequence of operations done by laborers or robots. Number 6 is human resource and job design. For Hard Rock Cafe, looks for individuals energetic about music and who love to serve. For Ford Motors, employing individuals, for example, specialists or laborers. They give some basic training to labor and advanced training to engineers. Next is supply chain management. In Hard Rock Cafe, food and collections are carried by the logistic. While carrying the food, the logistic is time bounded. And in Ford Motor, vendors of vehicle maker set up itself close to the producer to lessen the expenses and actualize the just-in-time process. Number 8 is inventory management. Inventory of food as well as there is additionally 1,000 pieces collections. And for Ford Motors, organization need to do inventories with just-in-time requirement procedures utilized. Just-in-time is a stock methodology that endeavors to enhance a business. Next is scheduling. Schedule is prepared and changed depending upon the tourist. And for the Ford Motors, the company is more worried about booking material than people groups. The planning depends on building different models from modules to estimate. And lastly, number 9 is maintenance. The main objective is that the kitchen, bar and shop should work in all aspects in Hard Rock Cafe. And for the Ford Motors, high measures are taken that no machine or production line is in maintenance. There is frequently minimal option in directing, and downtime is extremely costly due to high settled and variable expenses. The last discussion question is 5 factors to open a new cafe. The first one is place. The place will be located in rapidly expanding, which is in boardwalk or in cities such as in shopping complex. Next is the product. The product will have the freshest ingredients. The product will import from international food and high quality food offering exceed competitors. The third one is the price. Controlling price at all the time without exception will be high cost of ingredients import from international. Next one is promotion. The most successful advertising will be banner ads, email marketing, and creating website for the restaurant, showing advertising at social media, and promotion day with different offering food discount. And lastly is the process. Prepare a cozy dining room and elegant lounge, comfortable furnishing and decor with smoothing warm tones. Hire the best training employee services, and the most important thing is cleanliness and the space between table and table. That's all for the discussion question.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Aiman bin Abdullah. Today, I will explain about the costs that involved in this case study. The costs that involved can be categorized into two. First is fixed cost, and second is variable cost. The variable cost is when the cost is constantly changed depend on situation. Example for the variable cost is appraisal cost, inspection, testing, and other activities when trying a new things. And thirdly is storage cost. Hard Rock Cafe is constantly change the menu depends on the feedback of the customer, and because of that, a new menu need a new supplier for the new raw material for the food, and because of that, it costs more money. And thirdly, high-end food costs money to store. Hard Rock Cafe also serve the high-end food for the customer. For example, lobster. The lobster need a special way to store because it can easily get rotten if not stored properly, and because of that, it costs more money to store the high-end raw material. Next, how to minimize the cost for the variable cost. For the first suggestion is to use raw materials that's in season so the cost can be lower. The raw materials that's not in season cost more money, and by choosing the right ingredients in the right time or the right season, the Hard Rock Cafe can lower the cost. Second suggestion is to categorize the Hard Rock Cafe for different high-end menu or normal menu. With this, Hard Rock Cafe can focus on their menu without constantly change the menu. And thirdly is order from the same supplier to negotiate discount. By ordering with a large amount of raw material, the supplier will give discount to the buyers. With this, the cost can be lower. Next, I will explain about the fixed cost, which is in this case study is inventory control. Okay, Hard Rock Cafe is one of the largest company that have memorabilia from the celebrity. The item is such as guitar, piano, outfit, and original lighting. All these items is very precious because it is from artists that successful in the past and also in this current time. All the item is get from the auction or gift from the musical artist itself, and because of that it is so special and very expensive. And because of that, Hard Rock Cafe spend more money just to store these items. The cost that involves to store this item is housing cost and investment cost. Next, building rent, operation, and insurance. And thirdly, labor cost. And lastly, warehouse worker and security. Because this item is one of the kind and very special, it costs more money just to store it and keep it safe. And it's also cost money just to make sure the item is always in good condition. Okay, next I will explain about how to minimize the cost for the fixed cost for the operation management. Okay, first suggestion is to increase the number of museums to show the memorabilia. The item is so important in history and also so precious in the music industry. By storing the item just in the warehouse, it's such a waste of money because it cannot generate money. By increasing the museum, it can generate money by the visitor that come just to see the item. The next suggestion is to find a place with a low market price for the warehouse, because the because the building is so expensive nowadays, it's important to choose a building or the land with the low market price for the storage of the item. And lastly is to find a warehouse that easy access for as many Hard Rock Cafe as possible, because Hard Rock Cafe also show the item in their cafe, and most of it is just stored in the storage. It needs transportation cost just to take the item from the warehouse to the cafe or the cafe to the warehouse. By choosing the right place, it can cut the cost because it is short in distance, and it's not involve so much money just to transport the item. Okay, that's all from us. Thank you.